most fun things you can do in the summer is go out on a boat, but it also happens to be one of the most dangerous. Let's react to some unbelievable boating accidents.
Heart-stopping video as a speedboat goes airborne at 200 miles an hour.
Oh no. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. I'm glad it didn't make contact with the water until it made a few rotations and slowed down, because that rapid deceleration is what causes shearing forces to the human body. So if it would have made contact with the water right after going airborne, that's where things could have gotten really deadly.
The two men on board were trying to break a speed record on Lake Havasu in Arizona.
God, it just doesn't look like.
I don't know if Dr. Mike is an introvert or an extrovert. His reaction to saying, oh my God, is like, I don't know. Maybe it's a personality thing. I'm like watching the video, but he's like emoting to the video, and I'm like, well, okay. I'm just like that. Well, that happened. And the boat literally just like flew into the air. What? Okay. That's my personality. Okay. I'm dying now.
The premise of where a water speed record should be broken. Like, where are the first responders? I don't know. It just looks like people hanging out watching.
It flew like a kite. It flew.
That's so like Dr. Mike. Mandatory talking about, I guess, the healthcare response because he's like a doctor. Cool. Okay. I get it. But other people don't know why he thinks like that, but I get it.
It spun. Ryan Ola is a member of the crew. That's the wrecked vessel behind him.
It looks like fiberglass just tore apart.
Incredibly, the two men in the boat survived.
The safety capsule is designed to keep the drivers safe as possible. One walked away with a broken collarbone and some broken ribs. The other one just had a fractured knee.
Wow, imagine just breaking your patella, crashing at 200 miles an hour. I'll tell you what, cars are safe, but if you're crashing 200 miles an hour into a wall.
How every celebrity, and I mean every single one, is always wearing a tee that's tight on the arms and the dell.
Wall, you're not just fracturing a patella.
A speedboat ride in Missouri turned crazy.
God, this is like wild.
For this family this month, you've seen this. It was all caught on tape. The boat hit a large wake, sending people flying.
Isn't the rule like you gotta slow down once you hit?
I know Dr. Mike is about to say something snarky or something, something witty about these people, but what I have to say that's witty and snarky is like, it's always like, call me racist if you want, but it's always white people who are of certain complexion that are doing these high-speed racing boating things. Like, you don't see anyone else doing that. So why? Like, why would you do that?
The first one, my guy just went boom. I mean, like, I know I crashed my race car, but man, this is on a different level.
They were all hurt. 5 were treated for minor to moderate injuries. They're okay.
The fact that almost all of them hit their heads is the scariest part for me. I wouldn't be surprised if there's some facial fractures, nasal fractures. They're hitting some very dense portions of the.
You know what's funny? And this is a comment for anyone who's like, what's the right word? A problem solver. Anyone who's like a really deep problem solver has 2 things to figure out in their life. One, the education part of whatever it is that they're trying to solve. That's already expected. Like Dr. Mike went to medical school and now he's a doctor. I get that. The part that people, I think, don't understand is that it's very hard. It's hard to articulate things to people in a way that is both pleasing, but maybe it's maybe it's bad news. In ways that it's clear and detailed, but in a way that people can understand. Also, on the same topic, but it's slightly different. It's not really your education or whatever it is. It's not just about learning and doing the thing, because introverts or people who are less, I think extroverts will have a hard time doing this too, because it's about verbal speech. Just the idea that you have to communicate or articulate a concept or idea to somebody else is not the same thing as knowing how to do it. It's not the same thing as knowing how to do it, because other people don't know that you know how to do that thing, and then therefore it's like everything is a promotion job. It's like you're learning to like explain or express what you're doing or what you're learning, and that's actually different from learning and doing the thing. Like if you were a surgeon and you didn't have to explain to anyone what you're doing, great, because the patient's unconscious, but they have to do it beforehand. Like they usually talk to people prior to surgery. I'm just saying, like, yeah, these people, like, they know what they're doing, but it's like an extra step. It's an extra task to like have to talk to someone when you kind of maybe just want to open up their body without telling them. I don't know. I'm being funny, but like why I'm bringing this up is because Dr. Mike, being a doctor and going to school, his approach to his comments in the video is like, he's very aware that he is A, doing a YouTube video, and B, his doctor hat is on. He's not just reacting as like a person, I guess. He's reacting in a way that he wants people to perceive him knowing about medical ideas that would come up to him because of his points of view, because of his personality, because of his education. Like, and that's the interesting part about reaction videos. You sort of like, you're borrowing the person's perspective or point of view, and he's being funny here, but no, he's not. I'm trying to find the funny in what he's saying, but he's being serious. Like, the guy literally hit his head, and he could have a concussion. And if they probably did, maybe they did go to a hospital, but if you didn't go, you could have a concussion, and then you wouldn't even know it.
From Prosper, Texas to paradise, Whitney Slough and her family enjoying the clear waters in the Bahamas
I feel like I'm in a nightmare.
until this boat came out of nowhere and never stopped.
I feel like I've been to this exact area of the Bahamas.
They know they hit him, they saw him, and they drove off.
It's like a hit and run, but with a boat. So is that a hit and run? It's a hit and float.
Whitney's husband Brent snorkeling near the shores of Exuma before dinner when this boat skimming along the shallows drove right over him.
I mean, they could have totally not seen him, right? Like that. You just might think you hit a wave or something.
Slicing his lower body.
Oh my God, they sliced his
When the propeller hit him right underneath the buttocks and the legs.
Oh my God, there's the femoral arteries right there. And if they hit the femoral artery, you can't save someone that's in the water with that kind of injury. Hopefully it just hit muscle, didn't get to the arteries.
We hear Brent screaming, help me, help me, help me, you know. We didn't realize that he was struck by the boat.
Yeah, so like if they didn't know, the boat might have not known. And you could see that his toes are cyanotic. They're not getting enough circulation.
Whitney, her family, friends, and Good Samaritans pulling Brent out of the water.
Okay, Dr. Mike, like, I guess he has a bigger screen, because I'm looking at it, I'm recording from a phone, so I can't see, but I guess maybe he can see, because I'm like, I can't really look at the foot from this angle, but maybe he can.
Wrapping towels around him to try and stop the bleeding.
Putting pressure, as much pressure on that area is of utmost importance. If the bleeding was that severe and they had a tourniquet, that would have been ideal. Again, it depends where the injury occurred, because when you want to apply a tourniquet to a bleeding
and I understand what he's saying, like, but that's why he makes. I'm reacting to Dr. Mike because it would be interesting to sort of like. I normally don't watch his reaction videos. I've watched other stuff like podcasts, but not really his reaction videos. And because reaction videos tend to be more comedic in nature, at least on YouTube for the most part. But he's probably not. He's saying witty stuff, but it's more about him like. Why I paused the video is because he is commenting on the average viewer. Well, if they had a tourniquet, maybe they could have done this, and I get he's like speaking from his point of view, but most people, I don't know, are most people prepared for like having a tourniquet? Like he's saying helpful things, but it's not realistic. I don't imagine most people are conceiving that they're gonna have to like place a tourniquet technique on someone because they're like bleeding out.
Limb, you have to do it closer to the heart. So for example, if the cut is here, you're going closer to the heart and putting the tourniquet here.
4 hours under the knife, this father now in good hands, but with a fractured pelvis, leg, and a long road to recovery.
What a scary story. That's why whenever you're in the water, you always have to be head on a swivel. Head on a swivel.
This nightmare begins miles off the coast of Chile in the South Pacific, where the ship Discover is conducting oceanic and atmospheric research.
Wait, that was it? That was the end of the video? They didn't... I guess he's alive, but... he probably has to do physical therapy if he does not have access to his limbs. That's hard.
Stunning day, crew members take a dip in the warm tropical waters. But the afternoon turns into a horrifying scene.
Oh my God, tell me a shark is coming and my worst nightmare is coming true.
Right out of Jaws.
Oh no.
60 minutes into the swim, the fin of a massive great white suddenly surfaces.
What is the rule? Like you gotta punch it in?
Oh my God, now I'm gonna vent. I told this to the guy Game Breezy. He's like a guy doing Pokemon Kaizo. And I said to him something like, you know, I guess maybe even 10 years ago, but like, 20 years ago, people played video games in their own home, and maybe they could have friends over, but for the most part, it was a single player experience if you weren't like, like it's single player experience usually. And what I mean by that is today with social media and the fact that these reaction videos or like live streaming your gameplays, it involves people so much that I noticed that Dr. Mike did that little shark reference in the video, and I'm like, he's like really thinking about how do I make this reaction video interactive for people to enjoy or appreciate or learn something about from. But the rant for me is that it's sort of like it's worth it to him to consider those things, but also at some point there's just too many videos. There are not enough human hours to like spend on watching like all types of reaction videos. But what I mean is there's not enough human hours to like come up with a creative way to engage people. Sometimes you're just not going to engage people, but I can tell what he's doing. He's trying that little shark reference, the little thing at the bottom, the little fin. He's trying to engage people in an interactive way, but I'm like, I would be annoyed. I'm like thinking that's annoying. Not Dr. Mike's annoying, but like the idea that I'm having to take an extra step. It's like teaching 8-year-olds about like anything, and you have to like hello, come back here. Oh, that's annoying.
The nose?
Heather Boswell is in the race for her life against a great white shark, and she's losing.
Yeah, there's no way to win. The speed that a great white shark travels in the water is exponentially faster than a human.
People were still screaming, get Heather, get her out, get her out. And we had kind of a tug of war with the shark, trying to, give us back our shipmate.
Oh my God. And the blood in the water certainly doesn't help because that gets the shark probably more aggravated.
We grabbed a hold of her, and she became very light at that point, and we kind of flung her up in the front of the boat. She came up really easy, and we had seen that her leg was gone.
It was cut off just as if a butcher had used a saw.
This is going to sound dark, but a clean cut sometimes can be life-saving because the arteries sometimes can clamp and cut off the circulation, thereby decreasing the amount of exsanguination, losing blood.
Come closer. Closer. This is what nutritious food actually looks like when you have the
Losing blood.
20 hours from the nearest help, Heather's life is now in the hands of the ship's nurse.
Tourniquet, commercial grade tourniquet, not t-shirt tourniquet, commercial grade, with a ratchet.
After months of painful rehabilitation, she now walks with a prosthetic leg.
Wow, I am so happy to hear that she survived.
This morning, a dream cruise sailing.
Too bad we're not like salamanders. She could have just grown a leg. Just, inject her with salamander DNA. Just do that, and then people can regrow limbs.
To a choppy ending after a norovirus outbreak.
God, outbreaks happen so commonly on cruise ships because it's an enclosed, tight area, lots of interpersonal interaction, utensils being shared, glasses being shared. Very easy for things to spread. And norovirus is kind of the common one. Even though cruise ships aren't the only place where norovirus outbreaks happen, it just seems to be the cruise ship virus of choice.
The CDC says at least 94 passengers and 4 crew members aboard Royal Caribbean Serenade of the Seas battled the bug during the voyage.
Ideally, you got to quarantine the ship.
Including Bob Pattis, who was on the 13-day cruise with his son.
I'm 87 years old. I've never been this sick in my life.
That makes him high risk. Anyone with pre-existing cardiac conditions, weakened immune systems, older or very young, are at the highest risk for having a negative outcome from norovirus.
The ship docking in Miami this morning as scheduled, becoming this year's 19th gastrointestinal illness outbreak on a cruise ship so far, sailing past the total number seen in 2024, according to the CDC, and making it the worst year for cruise outbreaks in more than a decade.
God, cruise ship companies are really struggling from norovirus, flu cases, COVID 5 years ago, now hantavirus. It's a scary time to go on a cruise.
Sarah Kirby is one of the few people in the world who knows what it's like to fall off a cruise ship and live to tell about it.
God, is that even I mean, obviously it's possible because she did it. Because, if you hit water at the height that a passenger deck is from a cruise ship, it's like hitting cement and surviving.
In 2012, she slipped over her stateroom balcony.
Was she running towards it? How did that slip happen?
Infrared cameras captured her fall. She actually ricocheted off a lifeboat before hitting the choppy waters off the coast of Jamaica.
Honestly, it's a lifeboat that probably saved her.
Sarah was badly battered.
She has a subconjunctival hemorrhage there, which actually isn't super problematic, but those raccoon eyes could be a sign of a basilar skull fracture. That would be concerning.
But somehow managed to tread water for 90 minutes.
90 minutes despite having that level of trauma. I know cruise ships have alarms that they have sensors that detect if someone fell off, but I wonder how in this specific case they knew. Oh! This is in Miami. I've seen these clips. Look at her! Oh my God, your ankle can get caught there? Oh my God, the poor ligaments of her ankle. This is why boats are so dangerous. Do they have seatbelts? I feel like boats should have seatbelts. I love that she hands her cell phone first. It's like the dude at the baseball game who catches the ball but never spills the beer. Oh
my God.
What was that?
Is it in you? Oh yeah, big time.
God, that's a line you never want to hear from your buddy. So there is a clean mechanism for taking out fish hooks. I don't recommend you try and do this on your own because there are always vital structures, especially in the neck. I would more so just say cut the fishing line and go get a professional to take care of it. But there is a strategy where you push the bottom of the fish hook down and then with a string you pull the fish hook up and out. Now it really depends on the area because there are instances where sometimes you can guide the hook further, actually push it in because of that barb, cut the barb and then easily slide it out. It really depends on the placement, which is why I really want a medical professional to do this and not on your own. When heat stroke and seasickness take you out, but not the crew. Uh-oh. You got to be careful here that this is in fact seasickness. Two things can happen on a boat which are really problematic. One is heat stroke. That requires severe medical attention. And also carbon monoxide poisoning. People don't recognize that. So if a lot of people are experiencing something all at once, think heat stroke, carbon monoxide poisoning. Oh, this crew's okay. That makes me feel better.
Watch this. Oh, ouch, that must hurt.
Hold on a second. I think I watched this Inside Edition. Did he sue the living pants out of this boat company for this happening to him? Because he said, like, it caused brain damage for the rest of his life.
It happened on a Holland America luxury cruise liner, the MS Amsterdam. Here's the question. Is that smack on the head really worth $21.5 million? Houseman's wife, Carol. Carol, what happened?
This anchor and I did a bunch of Inside Edition hits together.
The doctor thought originally that it was just, a bump on the head. There was a laceration.
I mean, post-concussion syndrome is absolutely real.
The family continued on their round-the-world cruise, thinking that rest and relaxation were exactly what Houseman needed after his injury. But when the cruise was finally over, his condition only got worse.
Oh my God, I wonder if he was bleeding internally from like a subdural hemorrhage or something.
He says he suffered permanent brain damage.
Finding strategic ways to find the answers within your code base without storing your entire code base into
He's not logical anymore, irritability, mood swings, and then eventually he developed actually having seizures as well.
Houseman sued after he says he discovered that at least 16 passengers had been injured in similar ways.
The issue here is that
I'm going to say something funny, but it's interesting how people in it's interesting to have to observe someone like in a group of people. It's interesting to observe if someone is aging at a faster rate than somebody else, because the late, or maybe the lady is like 10, 20 years younger than the guy. He looked a little older.
Knew the door was dangerous and they continued to let it operate. That's the core of the issue, not the fact that this one incident happened.
Austin Gonsalves loves to fish, so it was no surprise he jumped at the opportunity.
And so I had mentioned that that's the only reason I even clicked on this video.
There was a laceration.
I mean, post-concussion syndrome is absolutely real.
The family continued on their round-the-world cruise, thinking that rest and relaxation were exactly what Houseman needed after his injury. But when the cruise was finally over, his condition only got worse.
Oh my God, I wonder if he was bleeding internally from like a subdural hemorrhage or something.
He says he suffered permanent brain damage.
He's not logical anymore, irritability, mood swings, and then eventually he developed actually having seizures as well.
Houseman sued after he says he discovered that at least 16 passengers had been injured in similar ways.
The issue here is that they knew the door was dangerous and they continued to let it operate. That's the core of the issue, not the fact that this one incident happened.
Austin Gonsalves loves to fish.
So if you look at this fish, is the only reason I even clicked on this. Its head shape is actually upwards, like is concave the right word? It's like a slope. Its head is a slope. Its eyes are positioned slightly up in the slope, so the eye can look up into the sky or the water, so it can like look for other fishes or anything that's in the water. My point is it's designed that way so that it can look up above. If it had the face of a human being, for example, you would have to look up in order to look up. That fish does not have to look up to look up, and that's helpful. So that's interesting, that function. And no, that's not what I meant to say. That it's interesting that shapes and structures are designed by nature in a functional way in your environment. Interesting.
So it was no surprise he jumped at the opportunity for a dream vacation spearfishing in the Bahamas.
I remember eating the fish. I remember diving the day we ate the fish. And then I remember waking up in Miami a week later.
It was then they learned a fish they caught was loaded with poison, putting the 15-year-old in a coma. It's called ciguatera poisoning.
Yeah, ciguatera poisoning is really dangerous because it's invisible. It's tasteless. Cooking the fish doesn't solve it. Freezing the fish doesn't solve it because it's a toxin. It happens from like toxic algae that these larger predatory fish eat up enormous amounts, and it builds up within their bodies, and then humans eat them. So you got to be really careful about avoiding those types of fish. And there's a whole list here, but in general, really scary stuff, especially the way that it happens. It has some pretty unique symptoms outside of the basic nausea, vomiting, GI distress. You also start feeling cold is hot and hot is cold. You start having a metallic taste in your mouth, almost feeling like your teeth are loose. Really unique.
And he's saying doctor stuff, but again, the implication that people would even know that this exists prior to eating a poisonous fish, it's very not realistic. Like people who are fishing, you would think that they would like consider if they eat or touch a poisonous fish that they would consider that, but they don't know. So I'm blanking out here. He's talking in a way as if like, yes, and now you know, but like, does that mean that anytime you go fishing that you have to like become acquainted with the fish? Like you have to know. It's kind of like when I go hiking and then I realize, oh, there's a sign that says that there are snakes around, and even though it doesn't say what kind of snakes, you kind of have to like know, wait, which kind of snake? Because if there's like a poisonous snake, then you probably really don't want to be around the poisonous snake. So it's like, should people have to know about poisonous fish when they go fishing? Do people even consider that? I don't know. How did this guy end up going fishing but not having someone, I guess, older than him that knew that they were possibly poisoned? Like, I guess, I don't know. I'm just assuming that people older than him would have known that they would have known that the fish was poisonous, but I don't know.
Symptoms.
You have a 1 in 50 chance to get it if you eat large fish in that region.
Yeah, I believe if the fish is over 5 pounds, it's a reef fish that increases the risk.
That's why biologists recommend avoiding large fish for dinner.
No smell, no taste.
Correct.
No way to tell that the fish has the poison.
There's also certain parts within the fish where the toxin can accumulate, so you want to avoid eating those parts listed here.
The only reason they can talk about their warning is because of his mother's natural reaction after the four started violently vomiting.
I remember calling the ambulance, and that's the last thing I remember for several days.
And here's the scary part. There is no cure. It's just about supportive care, giving fluids, making sure that the heart is stable, electrolytes are stable. Like, there is no antidote.
He started physical therapy this week and has a sense of humor about the near-death poisoning. His friends brought Austin this movie to help the recovery.
A little Finding Nemo never hurts. If I got fish poisoning and my friends brought me Finding Nemo, I'd be finding new friends.
A literal nightmare that fisherman Scott Thompson is lucky he has lived to tell about after falling overboard from his boat in the middle of the night in Ventura, California.
Oh my God, that's the scary. It reminds me of that movie Open Water. Oh my God, worst fears.
At that moment, he saw the bright lights from this oil platform about 2 to 3 miles away.
2 to 3 miles away.
Scott
It's also, I must have a very specific point of view as well, because I noticed that Dr. Mike is trying to, I don't know, it's not just a doctor thing. It's literally just a very niche, what he's experiencing is essentially what any person who is in a niche occupation or in a niche skill set of things in their life that they have like experienced. And And what was I saying?
Death poisoning. His friends brought Austin this movie to help the recovery.
A little Finding Nemo never hurts. If I got fish poisoning and my friends brought me Finding Nemo, I'd be finding new friends.
A literal nightmare that fisherman Scott Thompson is lucky he has lived to tell about after falling overboard from his boat in the middle of the night in Ventura, California.
Oh my God, that's the scary. It reminds me of that movie Open Water. Oh my God, worst fears.
At that moment, he saw the bright lights from this oil platform about
The comment, everything that he's saying and doing is motivated by the fact that he is bringing up his niche knowledge and sort of trying to relate to people that don't have his niche knowledge, because it doesn't sound like he's trying to relate to other doctors. It sounds like he's trying to relate to the general people, general public. So I find that funny because everything that he's emoting is his version of what he thinks other people will relate to or find interesting, like talking about a fear, because talking about fears is like this like sort of elementary type of conversation, and it makes other people connect with you in like he's a human being, he's like a person. And like he's not just like a doctor. Like I why is that interesting? It's interesting because you something that is not, I believe people do consider it, but I don't think they consider it enough. That if you go to school for something, for anything, and you want to work as like that thing, you can do that. Like if you go to medical school, I'm only saying that because he's a doctor. Like if you go to any school, any type of profession, you can do that thing that you're going to do, but that doesn't mean that you know how to start a business. That's why it's interesting, because he sounds like a person who knows that in order to have customers, in order to have people relating to you or something to that effect, they have to like connect with you as a person. And it's a separate thing from, again, like the through line in this idea wormhole that I've been talking about is learning and knowing to do something is not the same thing as relating to people. Like I'm more introverted and I'm thinking, wait, I just want you to like, you can't like expect people to know what you know when they don't know what you know. So he's like trying to relate to people, and he does it so well because he knows that he has to do it, or else other people don't get it. Like they don't think, like, I guess not everyone has the same, people don't operate in the same mentality, and that's something that I'm realizing. I can't expect people to think the way I do, but it is frustrating. So
2 to 3 miles away.
2 to 3 miles away.
Scott made it to that platform, but developed hypothermia from his exposure to the cold water.
Oh my God, hypothermia is so scary on the open water because it doesn't need to be frigid water. That's a common mistake people have. They think, oh, it's 50, 60 degrees. There's no way I'm going to get hypothermia. No, when you're wet, it's windy, you could become hypothermic very quickly. Hypothermia is a medical emergency, and it's not about rapid rewarming because that could also be a problem. It's about keeping the person calm, flat, and gradual rewarming after you call 911. Also, you got to realize that some people, when they develop hypothermia, they start shivering in order to generate heat. And that is a good thing. That is the body doing its thing. However, once people stop shivering, the assumption is that they're getting better. Well, it could be that they're fatiguing and they're no longer capable of generating enough heat, and actually the illness is progressing worse. Similarly, how those who have an asthma attack, they breathe very quickly to try and get rid of this carbon dioxide that's trapped in their body. And once they start breathing more slowly, people think they're getting better. In reality, it's time to intubate.
But there was something else motivating Scott to get to that platform. a harbor seal.
No way! He added that for effect.
He says one swam alongside him for a while, giving him hope and making him feel like he was not alone in the world.
It's interesting how humans can experience the same thing drastically differently. If your doctor friend here was out in the open water, thrown off his vessel, an unknown animal pops its head out, full panic attack, drowning. You lost your favorite YouTuber. That's how I'm gonna go down. Manatee attacks Dr. Mike. Make it the headline.
Quisiera uno con más viento que no vinieran más.
Headline.
During this scorching summer, there's no better way to beat the heat than boating. But could a deadly invisible killer be lurking that people are unaware of? Carbon monoxide?
Oh, yeah. Boats are actually supposed to have carbon monoxide detectors on them because what can happen is if you're traveling at low speeds or even idling, you can develop what's known as a station wagon effect, where actually the exhaust fumes start making their way into the boat because wind changes, the circulation of the fumes, and it could poison everyone on board.
There have been 46 carbon monoxide deaths on boats in the last decade.
Maybe you shouldn't be reporting just casually standing up like that on a wake boat.
But experts we spoke with say that number may be higher, since they can often be mistaken for drownings. Donovan Chilton says it also...
It would be even funnier if she had high heels on, but you don't know it because she's like on camera, like up here. That'd be pretty badass, actually, if she was on heels standing on the boat.
happened to his son. Thankfully, he survived.
Oxygen therapy is the mainstay of treatment, and the mechanism behind carbon monoxide poisoning is that it binds to hemoglobin, causing a compound known as carboxyhemoglobin to form, and it is more competitively binding to hemoglobin than oxygen. So the hemoglobin that normally carries the oxygen around through your body starts having carbon monoxide bind to it at a higher rate than the oxygen. Therefore, you're not supplying your body with enough oxygen. You literally start shutting down, and people get sleepy, they feel unwell. Sometimes it's confused with seasickness, as we said earlier in the video, and people don't understand. And groups of people can lose their lives. Groups of people can drown. Very, very dangerous scenario.
So how can you get carbon monoxide poisoning on a boat out in all that fresh air?
Could be a very calm, humid day, and carbon monoxide can collect in places that you wouldn't expect.
Yeah, most people think, oh, I'm outdoors, carbon monoxide won't impact me, but that's absolutely not the case.
Using the special carbon monoxide detector, he showed us how carbon monoxide gas can build up, especially on the back of older boats with inboard engines that he says are less effective at diffusing it.
Let's put it in the exhaust stream and see what happens. Here we have definite CO, obviously, and if I move it up, and it's starting to dissipate very rapidly, we're down to 40. Just a few steps and you could be in the clear zone, absolutely.
Yeah, just imagine you're sitting there hanging out talking with your friends, and without knowing, you're inhaling all this carbon monoxide, it's binding to the hemoglobin, becoming a problem. And sometimes people that are experiencing carbon monoxide poisoning look flushed. So it's not something that you think is related to lack of oxygen. You think it's probably seasickness, but in reality...
Why would you think that? Does seasickness cause people to flush? I wouldn't think so. I wouldn't think that. That's not the first thing I would think. I had to pause because it's interesting that his niche topic is medical related things, but it's funny that I'm more like intrigued by the mechanism of the apparent gas sensor, because that's just the idea that people imagine ways to construct tools or technology that allows detecting like gas in the air, but not just any gas, specifically carbon monoxide. Like, how does that work? That's interesting. What about this stick is able to sense that there is carbon monoxide in the air? That's interesting. I don't know.
It's this hidden danger that's found on boats.
The Bonds Flying Roos went back-to-back at the New Zealand Grand Prix today, claiming 2 wins in 2 years in Auckland. But there was one major difference.
Race boat.
If the French bow was even half a meter further back, I think we'd be having a very grim conversation.
Bow, that's the word I was looking for.
Grinder, Louise Sinclair is in hospital and recovering well from surgery after receiving compound fractures to both legs in the incident.
God, can you imagine the danger of that? I mean, only with extensive hardware, we're talking pins, rods. You got to stabilize both legs in a scenario like that. Lifeguards have to make extremely scary rescues. We put together a compilation of Bondi Beach rescues, and as always, stay happy and healthy.
Be depressed. Actually, now I have to figure out what I'm going to title this. I think I'm going to title this Pretending to be Temu Dr. Mike for a Day.